In this video, I will be doing my video response to Meg and Theia and their new tag, Only 10 Indie Decks. And I will most likely be interrupted in order to play the role of Cat Butler. Let's do it. I'm currently finishing packing and getting ready to go for our trip. We fly out tomorrow and I'm almost done. I have a few things still to set up for my dad, who will be minding our fur child while we're gone. May the force be with him. I thought filming this video would be a great little break from all of that logistical stuff that in the end I'm really not very good at, but I try. Okay, so this tag is relatively straightforward. It's very similar to the tag that Meg and Theia did prior, which was only 10 mass market decks, except here we're flipping the scripts a little bit and we're doing indie. This one was way more difficult, way more difficult for me than the mass market tags was, which is interesting because I have far fewer indie decks than I do mass market. And so I thought it would be easier to choose. It was not easier to choose, which was interesting to me. And it's really helped me kind of hone in, particularly with tarot, on what I am really feeling drawn to currently. There's a bit of a theme here. But so yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. For the breakdown of types of decks, I have 8 tarot and 2 oracle. I don't have a lot of independent oracle. I have a few, but not nearly as many as independent tarot. Most of my oracle is mass market. I think I'll actually start with the oracle first. That just feels like the thing to do. So we're gonna do that thing. So when I first saw this tag and I was thinking what I would choose, I knew immediately I would need a Claire Mac deck. And since I only currently have her oracle, since her tarot has just been funded on Kickstarter and I don't have it yet, waiting, I knew I would need to choose one of the 2 oracle. And I knew it was only going to be one out of the 2 because there were too many others that needed to be considered. So for context, Claire Mac has the Illuminated Earth Oracle and the Faceted Garden Oracle. And I have both. And I got both out just to, and I love both. I love them. I love her work. I love her. I love the way she thinks and perceives the world and how she portrays it in her art. And I got both of them out and went through them both just to see if one kind of pinged for me a little bit more than the other, and one did, and it wasn't the one I thought it was going to be. I got them both at the same time. I bought them both together for my birthday a couple of years ago, and so I've had them both for equal lengths of time. And I really, really love the Illuminated Earth for so many reasons. But that's not the one that pinged. Faceted Garden was the one that pinged. I was kind of surprised. The Illuminated Earth is stunning, and this one is stunning too. It is. I think for me, the Illuminated Earth is more kind of macrocosmic, bigger themes. It's almost like the majors in the tarot, and the Faceted Garden is more microcosmic, kind of what happens in one's immediate environment and what's observable and what is what can be worked with and manipulated in the present. You know, garden, faceted garden. So there is that aspect of that connection with the earth itself. Here are the beautiful backs. This one is edged. It's silver edged. Illuminated Earth is not edged. I've thought about trimming this edging off. I don't mind it, but I don't necessarily love it either. And I've actually thought about trimming the Illuminated Earth down to match this size because it is larger than this deck, and that way I could combine them. but I haven't done it yet. So I have a feeling I probably won't, but it is still something I've mulled over. It does come with this handy dandy little interpretation pamphlet. The Illuminated Earth does as well. But yeah, this one is the one that tugged at my little heartstrings. But yeah, I love this one. It has this feeling for me of just being more kind of immediate. And it has shadowy cards as well, like entropy. That can have a somewhat of a negative connotation. It can be positive too, I suppose. But yeah, I picked this one over the Illuminated Earth. Not quite sure what's going on upstairs, but we're gonna roll with it. But yeah, I like this one. I love the Illuminated Earth too, like I said, but this one pinged. This was the ping for as far as my Clairmac decks are concerned. And once again, that is the front of the box. That is the back of the box. And the text on the box is kind of holographic a little bit. Second Oracle. Again, looking at the indie decks I had, I knew I would have to pick an UC deck. And it wasn't Pagan Otherworlds. Pagan Otherworlds was in my formative decks video. It's been very foundational for me, but again, I have so many that I wanted to include that I knew. I have 3 UC decks. I have Pagan Otherworlds, I have Materia Prima, which I haven't used enough to kind of gauge whether or not it's one of those for me. But the one I chose, my third one, is Supra Oracle. I love this deck. This deck is deep and impactful. It is rooted in Jungian psychology and Gnostic principles. It's very cerebral and intellectual and analytical. This is a very air deck for me. I've journaled extensively with this one, particularly during the pandemic. This one was a major player for me. Simplicity. Sageness. I love this one. I've gotten that one a lot. So yeah, this is the UC deck I chose, which is the Supra Oracle. It does have the elements represented. Here's water, here's air. I have used these as like placeholders for elemental based spreads, and that works really, really well. This was my UC deck of choice because I could only pick one because I don't have a lot of indie decks, but I have enough to where I needed to narrow it down to that extent. So Faceted, Garden, and Supra, those are my 2 indie oracles of choice. Now on to the tarot. This was tough. Started thinking and looking at what I had and thinking if I could only keep 10, what areas, themes, categories would I want to draw from for those 10? The theme that overwhelmingly showed up in this was pip decks. I don't know why I'm surprised. I am a pip deck person. I love pip decks. I have several indie tarot that have illustrated minors, but the ones that I really felt drawn to as a whole, pip or pipish, strongly pipish. So which one are we gonna start with? Let's start with my indie Marseille of choice. It's not a traditional Marseille, but I love it anyway. I love it so much. And that is the Nouveau Tarot de Marseille by Gonzalo Eneas. This box is interesting. It's one of those little kind of top loaders there. And for scale, this is the box. This is my hand. These cards are ginormous. which does kind of make it a bit tricky to work with. But as I've said before, if I want to work with the tarot badly enough, I make it happen. And this little book that comes with it is one of my favorite little guidebooks. This is kind of like what the Tattoo Tarot guidebook is for me, as far as like an indie equivalent. It's very concise and it's very brief, but it's really, really, really good. I don't necessarily resonate with everything he has to say in this, but a lot of it I do. And he has this really great little snippet on numerical progression, which is near and dear to my heart. Anyway, let's get on to the cards. The colors are so great. One of the things I don't particularly care for in traditional Marseille decks is the colors. They're very bright and primary school. It's kind of jarring sometimes, but I really like this one. I also love the color palette of my Petit Marseille, which I'm still kind of shocked that I didn't end up choosing because it's just so different. And this one too. And I love the faces in this deck. I kind of lovingly refer to this as my RBF tarot because the faces on some of them, like the Empress, I wonder if I could find the Empress. Let's admire the minors for a minute before I do that and just how amazing they are. They're so pretty. This tower is so good. And this death card. Oh, I love it. It's so good. And this chariot is so great. Oh. I guess it's not super judgy, but it just kind of feels that way to me. But yeah. This King of Coins, he's just looking like, yeah, whatever. I love it. His eyes are a bit judgy. But I think it's great. Justice is not having any of it. I love it so much. Look at that too. This for me as a reader is extremely clear. Pip decks as a whole for me are extremely clear, but this one in particular, I don't know if it has to do with the size of the cards, and because they're larger, it kind of makes that a little bit more obvious. I don't know. This version of the devil has the face and the belly. Is that type 1 or type 2? I don't remember. I need to be more up on my type 1 and type 2 Marseilles because I honestly can never remember. I know in one type the Fool is written differently. The devil is different. Is the Magician different? I don't remember. And then there's Besancon, which has, I believe, like the 1JJ Swiss, which is the High Priestess, and the Hierophant are Juno and Jupiter, I believe. So there's all kinds of versions. The Strength card. Ugh. So good. This Hermit's really good. I love how it looks like, if this is the moon, how like the chunk of the moon has been taken out almost, and it looks like it's illuminating his, or highlighting his lantern. And there's another moon right there. Yeah. And there was a moon. There's also a, I wonder if, I can't remember if it references that in the guidebook, but there's also a crescent moon on the tower door. You can go back. I've showed that card. You can go back and look if you want. If you want. And I love the background scenery of this hangman. It reminds me of where I live. It's just so good. I need to move on. This video is going to take forever. Just waffling about my love for this deck. Okay. Once again, there in the box. Once again, Nouveau Tarot de Marseille by Gonzalo Eneas. That's Indie Tarot number 1. Indie Tarot number 2 is not a pip deck, but I'm very connected with it. I've used it a lot and it's been very impactful for me. I used this deck in that 9-card spread video, the VR I did to Meg, I believe, and that reading was extremely impactful, and that is The Darkness of Light. I have the 4th edition on Lunne with the black on top and bottom. I do like that Lover's card. Lover's card is my birth card. The swords are renamed to blades. The wands are wands. The cups are cups. And the majors are in, pretty sure that's Italian. I believe that's Italian. And pentacles are coins. That's right. King of coins. And I have, it did not come edged in black. I did this. So it does come just bare edged. Yeah, I'm very bonded to this deck. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's a great Justice card. Really good. I love that Queen of Wands. This is RWS space, but it has a bit of a twist in certain cards, which I like. I like it a lot. So that's Indie Tarot number 2, Darkness of Light. I have the 4th edition on the Lunne. What's next? Let's do... I wanted a tarot that reflected the elements for me in a way. And the Indie Tarot I have that does that beautifully is Spacious Tarot. I have the 1st edition with the misspelled 3 of Pentacles that I find just absolutely endearing. I've showed this deck for other things. Last time I showed this one in a video, I believe, was my Deck Crush VR. Pretty sure I featured this one there. Oops, skipping. But yeah. The courts are renamed. They reflect various animals. So we have Child. Child is the page. Explorer is the knights. And then there's Elder and Guardian. Guardian the queen. Elder the king. I think that's how that goes. But yeah. I love it. It is very pippish, which I love. Presents the minors in a different way. I remember during the pandemic, I got the 2 of Cups from this deck. Let me see if I can find it. 2 cups on separate lily pads, but with a lotus between them. And the only thing I could think of was at that time just kind of the importance of physical distancing. But you know, you're still connected. And that lotus was like, you're still connected for me. But stay on your own lily pad. Now that I see the star, it reminded me. The last video I featured this on, I believe, was actually my Tarot First video. Because I'm pretty sure I put the star in my thumbnail. My VR to Logan. I'm pretty sure that was the last time I featured this one. But yeah. So this is pippish and very nature-based and highly elemental. And I really like it. So it goes in for kind of that position. Don't want to look at people, and I just want to see the elements and the natural world. Spacious Tarot. That wins the place for that one. So that's my 3rd tarot. Let's just get tarot number 4 out of the way, and I'm not going to talk about it very much because I've shown it ad nauseum on my channel, and that is the Wayhome Tarot. This one has a very heavy elemental backdrop as well. I've been using this deck along with the RWS and the Elemental Power Tarot in my court card series, how I work with the court cards, just because the courts have this elemental aspect to them that I just click with. A salmon as the chariot. It's so good. I've seen this. I think there are a couple others that I've seen this in. I can't for the life of me remember which one. But the salmon is a very important animal in the region in which I live, and knowing, you know, how what their instinctual nature to to get upstream so they can spawn, but then they die. You know, it's what they're driven to do. It's that direction. Chariot for me is like divine direction. This is their divine direction. That is what they do. that is their purpose. And I love it. I love the salmon as the chariot. That's very meaningful to me. Hierophant as mycelium. Brilliant. So here's the Daughter of Pentacles. Pages for me are the earth of their suit, and pentacles are the earth element. So this is the earth of earth. And the way this figure is positioned, the whole lower body is on the earth, sitting on their knees with the knees touching the earth. That whole lower portion of their physical form is touching the earth. And there's a sprout coming from that. It's form. Form is happening with that seed energy of the ace. That's kind of what pages are about for me. And I love the sun and moon cards in this deck. They're very simple. There's the sun. Where's the strength card? The card that I worked with for the entirety of 2022, because last year was a personal year 2, 11-2 for me, and at my preferred position at 11 is strength, and that was this is the card. I had this sat out the entire year. This deck was used, a handful of cards for this deck that I used all year long. I had them sat out. 10 of Wands. That fire has burned out. Time to transcend and move on. I love it. I love it. I love just so many things about it. I will stop showing cards. I said I wasn't going to talk about it that long, and I'm waffling. But Wayhome Tarot. Absolute inclusion in my only 10 indie decks. All right, what's next? Okay, so this one's a bit of a cheat, but also kind of not, because I usually use these together. It's the same deck. It's just 2 different versions. And that is the Arcana Tarot playing cards, both the light edition and the dark edition. I keep them in a bag because I use them together a lot. And these boxes are really neat. They're kind of that side. Actually, I guess it is a top loader. And then it has that really pretty blue. And they come with a handful of extra cards. I think the light edition is currently available and the dark edition is not. Not entirely sure what the status is, but they do bring them back kind of intermittently. Keep them in this bag that is absolutely covered in hair. And it housed a vanilla chai candle, and so it's got a bit of vanilla-y scent. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently just because I can't flip 2 decks at once. A part of me wishes they would come out with a slightly larger version. They are like playing card size, but just because the art is so incredible. The number minors are playing card style, but they have the corresponding suit up there. So like here's the cups for hearts. I love when this happens, when the same card shows up in both. But there you can kind of see a comparison. This is a great combo for like light and shadow readings, or something I have done extensively with this is I do my own version of a body graph reading, the body graph from the Human Design System, and I use my dark edition for my defined centers, which I have 6 out of 9 centers defined. And then I use my light edition for my open and undefined centers, of which I have 3. Just energetically, it kind of helps look at that flow and distinguish. It's like, oh yeah, I have that open, I have that fixed. So I do that extensively with this combo. So yeah, kind of a cheat, but also kind of not, because they're kind of a unit. And the backs are really cool. Like they have like one half, there's a flourishing, blooming tree, and on the other half, the leaves are falling. I love that. Here are 2 9s. And 2 6s. I think that's all I'll show. But yeah, I love these two. And they are highly versatile. If I want to use it as a tarot, I could. I could also take the quartz and the majors out, and I would have a perfectly lovely set of playing cards. Should I want to do that? And they do come with jokers. So you can incorporate jokers if you want to use it as a playing card game that includes jokers. Arcana Tarot playing cards, Dark and Light Edition. I get both because they both fit in one bag. So I say it's okay. Next one up. Of course, I would need an old school Italian deck, but which one? And at first I was like, oh, my Fina della Torre, that's the one that's gonna go in. That deck is stunning. It's sitting over there. It's gorgeous. But if I had to choose, I would not choose that one. I would choose this beauty right here. If you haven't already guessed, there's the maker. This is the Il Meneghello version of the Tarocco Soprafino. This is the deck that spearheaded my love of the old Italian decks. And since this is indie and not mass market, my ancient Italian is not included in this one. So, Soprafino it is. I did get a special box for it, and this has like almost a tile imprint right here. And we got to pick the card that we wanted out of a selection, and I chose the sun because I love this sun card. And there is the master artisan who has now passed on. Signature right there. It's a paper box, but it's really sturdy, and I love it. Enough about the box. Il Meneghello decks come with these little extras reminding you it's handmade and there may be imperfections. And then here is my edition card. So I have, this edition was 2,000. I have 526 of this edition. So you get your little extras like that. Here are the backs. I love these old school backs. I just love the backs of older decks. And one of the things I love about this deck, and a lot of other Il Meneghello decks have this too, is the size. It's just wee. It's so cute. They're taller and skinnier, which I tend to like that ratio, even with larger decks, like another one I'm about to show you. But I just like this because I have short, squatty fingers, and this size is great. This is just a beautiful example to me of an old Italian deck, and I love it. And this is my OG Italian deck love that spearheaded that interest for me, and I determined that would be the one I would keep. And this edition has maintained a lot of the discolorations and sort of imperfections that appeared. And I love this death card. This Queen of Swords is one of my favorite Queen of Swords ever. Queen of Swords is one of those cards that I think is often greatly, not necessarily misunderstood, just a bit one-sided. And there is a side to the Queen of Swords for me that I don't hear about often, and that is about that energy being a receptive listener. Queens for me are water. So water of air. This is like listening from the heart. And I love this depiction. If her hand is by her chest, she's like, I'm ready to hear you. Or maybe I need you to hear me. I love it. And there's a smile a little bit on the face there. Open. It's the side of the Queen of Swords that I don't often hear about. And this sun card, there is some discoloration down here. One of the differences between this sun card and the Ancient Italian, I believe in the Ancient Italian, this sun is not actually orange, it's yellow. The color's been sort of desaturated. And is that not gorgeous? This one would have to be a keeper. that is, once again, the Il Meneghello version of the Tarocco Soprafino, and I did get an extra box. And this stands upright in my childhood curio cabinet in my bedroom. So yeah, this one stays. Let's do, I mentioned another taller, skinnier deck. So I'll go ahead and show that one. But this one is vastly larger in size. And that is the Jonasa Jaus. I have the 6th edition. And it is signed. My box is signed. I suppose I could say this is also a Marseille. It's Marseille inspired. Particularly it's Jodorowsky inspired. I resonate a lot of what Jodorowsky has to say about the Marseille. Not everything, but a lot, particularly concerning the numbered minors and the numerical progression there. I resonate a lot with that perspective. And this, the creator took inspiration from that. It's very modern, but it also, for me, has a bit of a timeless quality to it, even though it is modern. The creator is Galatian. This text is Galatian, I believe. I think I said that correctly. I love it. This deck is absolutely gorgeous in a spread. Particularly 3 cards. 8 of coins. If you look at this figure, it looks like they might be practicing alternate nostril breathing, which is a type of pranayama. And 8s for me are about maturity and mastery and sort of leveling up so you can get to that fulfillment and attainment of the 9. And pranayama is often used to gain mastery over the body or the responses that the body has. It's also a bit air and energy too, because of the air that you take in and the clarity of thought that can come from that. But this is very a lot of it is very body focused, and I just think this is such a great example for me of that mastery and maturity of aspects of the body, which the body is very pentacle, very coin. So I like it. It's just a different take. I think it's lovely, and I like the limited color palette, and I like this Page of Swords a lot. This chariot is really interesting too. Just look at the figure. There's no movement of the actual body, but the energy and the spirit of this person is out of the body. Again, for me, chariots are about divine direction. And I like the way that's presented. And this sun is really great. And the King of Swords kind of screams Night King. I can't ever unsee that. Sorry if you can never unsee it now either. But I like it, it works. This is definitely one I would hang on to. And once again, Jonasa Jaus medium. She had a mini, a medium, and a jumbo, I think. The 7th edition, I think, is sold out. There was an ad for it not that long ago, I think, but I think it's gone now. The last deck. I had to bring this one in, and that is the Lunne. I have the Game Crafter version with the very roomy tuck box and the linen cardstock. I believe the Make Playing Cards version comes in a tin, but it's not linen. This deck is heavily RWS based, which is not something I immediately gravitate toward. There are the bags. But I said this in another video, again, I'm not remembering which one, but this tarot for me, even though it's RWS based, the numbered minors present something a bit different in a lot of the cards, particularly the 3 and 10 of Swords. 3 of Swords was the first one I think that showed up there. You can take it in a number of directions and it's not so fixed. I really like the knights in this deck. They're not on horses, which is something that I typically associate with knights. I think a lot of people probably do. These knights are not on horse, but what they are is up close. And knights for me are the fire of their suit. And the closeness for me really kind of hones in on that up close and personal intensity that fire for me brings. So at first I was like, oh, they're not on horses. But then once I see, if we look here, here's a king. King's a little bit further back. The knight is up close. A little bit more intensity there. And I like that. It's a different take, again, and it broadened my perspective. And some of it's also very pippish, like this Five of Wands is very pippish. In a really good way. I love this one and it stays. And once again, that's the Lunne Tarot. And that is the creator. The creator is Clary Sage Moon on Instagram. If you do the Instagrams. I do not do the Instagrams. But if you do, you can find them there. And it does have a little nice little guidebook. Some really good keywords. There are reversal keywords as well. I don't use reversals, but I can still incorporate some of those depending on the context of the reading. So those are my only 10 indie decks. That was tough. And I wonder if I were to do this all over again, if I would still choose the same ones. I think I would. So I need to get back to packing and finishing the details because I'm leaving my house at 4 in the morning tomorrow because we live very far from the nearest airport. So we got some driving to do. So I need to make sure I get to bed at a decent time, and I have other things to do and clean and sort and get stuff ready for my dad so he can take care of my cat. So that's it for this one. Until my next video, take care and be well.